Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. I'll wait for everybody to receive your notifications. It is November 9th, 2024. Hi, Steve. I have not checked my email in a while. Let me check now. I'll check now. I'll be here for the next at least hour and a half. I received it. I have it. All right, let me open up your email and see what you've got here. I have your email, but there's no attachments. Let me just see if it's anywhere. It's not attached. Um, yeah, there's no attachment, Steve. You might have to send it again. Hi, con artist. How are you? Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's November 9th, 2024. Your comments are blocked. Welcome to the club. My comments are blocked too. Meanwhile, that video that I posted about, the peanut, the squirrel snitch woman, they have no problem posting all of those negative comments, but no, our comments get censored, but all those other nasty comments are loud and clear. Yes, poor Peanut the squirrel. I just posted on my community page under where the posts are. Somebody created a song for Peanut the squirrel. It just we dirty truth. We just started. The live just started. Oh, okay. The way you cannot send me a video here. Um, you'll have to send it as an attachment. Do you have an iPhone? How are you sending it? So, are you recording the video on your phone? On your laptop? Okay. So if you record it on your laptop, locate it, and then go into your email and hit the attach button and located it, on your C drive or wherever it's located, and it should upload. Yeah, it should upload. You'll just have to attach it. I just have to remember to add the copyright. It's copyright-free music, but I have to mention the name of the music. So let me just find it here. This is Way Home Tokyo Music Walker. And the last music was Wonder by Noman. Is the music too loud? Yeah, exactly. It does depend on the server. And what I've noticed is I don't have a lot of space. This is a very old laptop. and I don't have a lot of space on it. The fan died, like, it's a mess, and it's mostly because of, these criminals and stuff. Oh, you can't hear any music? Oh, that's interesting, because I wonder if it will record. Like, I'm listening to the music, you should be able to hear it. It's low, like, it's not loud, but you can hear my voice, right? Okay. Oh, that's interesting that you can't hear the music. I'll see, I guess, when I, close out the live stream later to see if it's uploaded with any music. I know that a lot of creators that speak about these, topics sometimes will have some music in the background, but also I like to play the music because, but when people are just entering the chat, just so that you know that somebody's here, I might want to get up and get a cup of coffee somewhere in between here because I'm going to do some reading, and then I'm going to play portions of a video that is really important. Does anybody else hear the music? Hi, Battle. It's good to see everybody here. I know that, it's Saturday night and, most targeted people have nothing else to do. It's not like we have any hot dates or anything. Oh, you don't hear any music either. Okay, all right. So I'm the only one hearing the music. That's really interesting. All right, so I'm gonna turn off the music since you can't hear it. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off. That's interesting. Okay, so I don't know if you've got any questions and comments before start reading some of this article. I posted a day ago. I started to read When Human Experimentation is Criminal by L. Song Richardson. And what happened was I've got little alerts on my phone to keep me awake, but of course the criminals know that I've got alerts on my phone that keep me awake, so they put me to sleep when I don't have the alerts going on. So, as soon as I was recording that portion, I guess I got 12 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, one of my alerts went off. The alert automatically interferes with recording, so, it was cut short. I turned the music off. Okay, yeah, I turned the music off. I figure if you guys can't hear it, I was playing it for you, not really for me. I figured once people were coming into, the chat and you didn't hear my voice or were just getting settled in, that you'd like to hear some nice soothing music in the background, please hit the thumbs up. I see that there are 10 people and only 1 thumbs up. Come on, guys. Hit that thumbs up button for YouTube. YouTube is gonna just there you go. There's number 2. Hit the thumbs up, please. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there, and, with the algorithms, like, all the targeted people that have channels are just complaining that, uh, their likes are not showing up. I go into, my likes and dislike well, you can't see the dislikes, but you can see like, I've had somebody tell me, "Oh, the alarm overwhelms the microphone." Oh, that's so interesting. I never thought of that. That's interesting. Well, that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. So, like, right now, I'm sitting here and I'm feeling this friggin' implant that they implanted below my ear. Do any of you guys have implants behind your ears or in your ears that you're aware of? These losers here, they really take advantage of people living alone. You installed OBS to start streaming, but of course that app never loads. I was reading, doing some research on YouTube videos on how to I have some questions, like, how do I merge a video with another one, and how do I share a screen? Like, right now, there's no way for me to share a screen without downloading some software, and, every time I download software on this laptop, I'm taking up more space, and it just really upsets me because, I don't wanna add too much software here and not have enough memory for other things. So, yes, the OBS is a free open source software. I I'm going to try it, see if it just takes up too much space. I have deleted so much stuff and transferred things to an external drive. Um, so, what I'm doing is I'm live streaming through YouTube. I don't have to download any other software to simply live stream through YouTube. I could also live stream, and I'm on my laptop, but I could also live stream from my phone. But as far as screen sharing or anything like that, I have to download that OBS software. VLC. Let me break that down. VLC and OBS. It's just, it just starts to take up a lot of space and it becomes time consuming and stuff. I really do want to be able to share my screen. Like when I'm recording a video, I'd like to be able to share a screen, like share news and articles and stuff like that so that you can see it. And then I've noticed other YouTube creators like David A, he's able to speak, on a video and then merge a pre-recorded video by somebody else into his existing video. I don't know how to do that. I would like to learn how to do that also. But Conrad, she said, you believe you have an ear or jaw implant both ears. I definitely have it in my ears. They're so they're so bad. They leave open sores behind my ears. I mean, it's nuts. Like I've got slice marks behind both of my ears, and they're all crusted with blood. It's like you're kidding me. Like this is not covert anymore. This is it's no longer covert. It's like they're not even taking the pains to cover up what they're doing. So OBS has a login for my YouTube account and I can screen share. Okay, so OBS has a login. Okay, so what you're saying is I have to download OBS, log into my YouTube through OBS? That's a good question, Steve. I've been wanting to ask that question for a long time. Why do you call yourself con artist? Good question. Maybe it's to confuse the perps, right? Years to implant, yeah. Well, this just started living here in Kentucky. They're really brutal here. I mean, beyond brutal. Um, I mean, they're like slicing up behind my ears like crazy. I've sent photos to my other targeted friends and they're like appalled. I posted some of the videos on YouTube. And then, of course, the triangle they cut out in my forearm. That went over really well with my friends. And then when I sent them other photos that I can't send to you guys. Okay, you can hear my voice well. Okay, I turned the music off. I turned the music off since nobody can hear it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue reading. And if you didn't hear the first portion of this article, you can let's see, you can find it on my channel yesterday, and it's When Human Experimentation is Criminal. It's by L. Song Richardson. And I read the introduction, and now I'm going to scroll down here. This is from 2016. Oh, I'm sorry, 2009. So this is a long time ago already. I would like to see an updated research article like this one. Although, when somebody does this sort of research, they probably just unalive them, right? That's how that works. Okay, so let me just scroll down here. Okay, so I'll continue reading here where I left off. This article unfolds in 5 parts. Part 2 discusses idealization and social benefit bias. Part 3 scrutinizes the expressive role of criminal punishment and the shortcomings of alternative sanctions. Part 4 discusses the utility of imposing punishment. And Part 5 addresses arguments against the use of criminal sanction and examines considerations that can guide policy. The conclusion argues that criminal punishment can restore the protection of dignity and autonomy in human subject research. So what this researcher is saying, that they're concluding that criminal punishment can restore the protection of dignity and autonomy in human subject research. So there are 2 biases. This part explores whether cognitive biases can explain why culpable medical researchers escape criminal punishment. It draws from the lessons of social cognition research, which contribute to our understanding of how individuals process information and draw conclusions. The research demonstrates that people regularly employ schemas to quickly categorize and assimilate information. A schema can be conceptualized as a mental structure which contains general expectations and knowledge of the world. It represents knowledge about a concept, including its attributes. Stereotypes are the best known example of a schema. And just as an aside, I took a schema therapy course for borderline personality disorder because schemas are a good tool to utilize when working with those very difficult people. Essentially, schemas provide a mechanism for people to make quick predictions, decisions, and judgments about the overwhelming amounts of information they encounter. Despite the necessity of employing schemas, they create the risk of biased decision making because they guide what we attend to, what we perceive, and what we remember and what we infer. The 2 subparts that follow delineate 2 possible biases that may result from the schema that we apply to researchers and the work that they perform. These biases create the risk of faulty decision making in the human subject research context and thus may explain the failure to utilize the criminal sanction to punish culpable medical researchers. And these medical researchers, they do some horrific things. I mean, we know as targeted people what they do, but what they do to animals is off the charts. It's absolutely sadistic torture and cruelty beyond what you can imagine. I can't even look at the pictures. I can't even read it. I can't even look at it anymore. The purpose of identifying these potential biases is to call attention to the possibility of their existence and to encourage further empirical inquiry. Idealization bias is explored in subpart A, and subpart B discusses social benefit bias. The words doctor and researcher are used interchangeably in this part because the researchers engaged in human subject research are more often than not medical doctors. So you hear that? These are medical doctors, not just researchers. They are researchers, but they are medical doctors engaging in human subject research. And guess what? Medical doctors, don't they take an oath, right? Don't they take that Hippocratic oath? I guess they're all in violation of the Hippocratic oath because they perform human experimentation that is criminal. Number A, idealization bias. Doctors are revered as nearly godlike. I don't know about you guys. I don't look at doctors as godlike. They went to medical school just like they're like a lawyer. They go for a lot of training. They have to take a test. They have to pass it. They have to do research. They have to do clinical research. And yeah, it's hard work. I mean, being a doctor is hard work, but they are not gods. They're just really good at test taking. Okay? There are a lot of doctors that are just really good at test taking. Same thing with lawyers. Doesn't make them good, just makes them knowledgeable. Role schemas, as the name suggests, help people decide what conduct to expect from those in certain roles. Generally, people do not expect criminal behavior from a doctor, despite substantial documentation of the commercialization of science and medicine and the incentives this creates for misconduct. Instead, doctors are often placed on a pedestal. They are perceived as healers and altruistic, honest actors who toil tirelessly for the betterment of mankind. Well, again, this is 2009. If anybody lived through the 2020 till present, nobody is looking at any doctor anymore as God or healer or altruistic. I don't know anybody. Honest actors who toil tirelessly for the betterment of mankind. Nah, I don't think so. Evidence of this schema can be seen in television portrayals and public opinion polls. In 2006, for example, a nationwide public opinion poll found that doctors and scientists are among the most trusted of occupations and professions. Hey, not anymore. If we were to do the research now, I don't think that would be the case. I really don't believe that would be the case. In fact, doctors are the most trusted occupation and scientists among the top three above. Oh, no, 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 no. Above police officers and professors. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is from 2006. It's an old article that needs to be updated seriously. The role schema applied to doctors and researchers creates the risk of idealization bias. This bias may affect how the acts of researchers are judged. Individuals may interpret the culpable acts of researchers as innocent mistakes or at most negligence rather than criminal. Hence, the idealization of doctors may explain the reluctance to prosecute them when they're involved in research misconduct. And this is for all the targeted people out there, non consensual test subjects placed on the watch list. Oh, yes, we're under investigation for decades. But in the name of national security, they can't confirm or deny that you're on the list. Yeah. The evolution of tort doctrine in informed consent cases provides some evidence of this bias. Prior to the 1960s, courts strongly protected an individual's autonomy interests by recognizing the torts of assault or battery against doctors who either failed to adequately inform their patients about the risks of treatment or failed to abide by the consent obtained. The attitude of courts during this period is best expressed by Justice Cardozo's quoted language, quote, "Every human being of adult years and sound mind has a right to determine what shall be done with his own body." And a surgeon who performs an operation without his patient's consent commits an assault for which he is liable in damages, unquote. By recognizing the torts of assault or battery in informed consent cases, courts place the individual's rights to self determination at the fore. Doctors were held liable for violations of consent whether or not the patient suffered any physical harm because, quote, "the essence of the plaintiff's grievance consists in the offense to the dignity involved in the unpermitted and intentional invasion of the inviolability of his person. The doctor's good or bad faith was irrelevant because the injury justifying compensation was to the patient's right to be free from non consensual contact with her person." However, in the 1960s and 70s, courts began to shield doctors from battery liability because they presumed that doctors were acting in good faith and for the benefit of the patient. Yeah, here comes the cover up, right? 1960s and 70s, we've got the cover up. One court put it, "We believe that medical treatment beyond the scope of a patient's consent should not be considered as intentional tort or species of assault and battery as it's been viewed in the past. The doctor in a malpractice case is ordinarily not an actor who intends to inflict any injury in his patient, and any legal theory which presumes that intent appears to be based upon erroneous supposition." Oh, here comes the gaslighting. "Instead, the doctor is not one who acts antisocially as one who commits assault and battery, but as an actor who, in good faith, intends to confer a benefit on the patient." Uh-huh. Idealizing doctors in this fashion caused the courts to view the consequences of battery liability as overly punitive. For example, if found liable in battery, a doctor might be required to pay damages out of pocket because malpractice insurance would not be available for a, quote, "arguably criminal act," unquote. Additionally, the possibility of an award of punitive damages raised concerns. Since courts presumed that doctors were acting in good faith and for the benefit of the patient, these outcomes seemed duly harsh. Uh-huh. Thus, courts began to treat non consensual encroachments upon the sanctity of the body as a form of medical malpractice sounding in negligence. So here they're downplaying the severity of what the doctors are doing in the 60s and 70s in the court. The concern for doctors appeared to overshadow the considerations of individual dignity, autonomy, and self-determination. So here we go. So now they're gaslighting the victim, the patient victim, and placing the doctors up on a pedestal. The court's idealization of the medical profession persists even in cases involving researchers who act in bad faith. For instance, Heinrich versus Sweet was a class action lawsuit filed on behalf of a terminally ill brain cancer patients who were subject in radiation experiments without their knowledge. The patients thought that they were receiving treatment and were unaware of the deception until a government report uncovering the experiments was published over 40 years later. Well, I don't know about you guys. I'm not going to be around in 40 years. And I know some of you guys are not going to be either. You know, the plaintiff sued in battery, alleging that the defendants intentionally injected the class descendants with toxic chemicals and irradiated the class descendants without consent. The researchers acted in bad faith. The victims had not agreed to become a research fodder or to be injected with the experimental radioactive substance. However, despite evidence of intentional deceit, the court dismissed the battery claim and held the action should be treated as a form of medical malpractice or negligence. So here they are downplaying a criminal act. Sound familiar, guys? Right? So, like the criminal stalking engaged by your neighbors, they just go, no, no, maybe it's harassment. No, it's not anything. It's just a citizen dispute, right? I'm just going to check the live chat, see who else showed up. And let's see. Okay, so you can hear my voice. You don't hear any music. Let me just scroll down here. You just screen. You just. You're going to change your screen name to Gang Stalking Cop. I don't know. Is that available? That's hilarious. I think you should do it. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Screen sharing. I'm going to have to read some of this later. The Hippocratic Oath. Here in New Zealand, the Hippocratic Oath is no longer valid or applied to medical doctors. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's see. You create a folder, put your videos in it, put your videos in a folder, right click on it to share with an email address or a link, place them in a free Google Drive account, and it's an easy way to share large files. Okay, so let me get back to this article here. Even in negligence cases, glimpses of idealization bias are present. The majority of jurisdictions utilize the medical custom standard as the basis for imposing liability. Medical custom in quotes. In determining whether the right of informed consent is breached, the focus of the inquiry is on the medical community's belief that it's reasonable to disclose. Reliance upon medical community standards assumes that the community will always act in good faith and in furtherance of the best interests of the patient. A growing number of jurisdictions utilize a standard that focuses on the information a reasonable person would want to receive in determining liability. The question asked is whether a reasonable person would have consented to the procedure if he or she had been given the undisclosed information. So I'm just going to say for the record, I am a reasonable person and I have not received any inquiry, any asking of me, any asking of my consent to implant me behind my ears and tear up the back of my ears, causing them to bleed and crust over. So, and since I'm a reasonable person of sound mind, I do not consent. Okay? So, any fake doctor, any InfraGard operative, any neighbor, any retired military loser who's running around here implanting behind my ears and stuff, and I can prove it. So, don't go calling me nutso when I've got all the cuts and bruises. Month after month after month, you're slicing up my ears, and I send my videos and my photos to a lot of people. So keep it up, losers. Just saying for the record. The use of the reasonable person standard again reflects a concern for the idealized doctor because the standard was chosen to protect doctors from a vindictive patient by avoiding placing doctors in jeopardy of the patient's hindsight and bitterness. Well, as far as targeted people go, I highly doubt, I highly doubt that the people entering our homes and doing this covert torture stuff, I don't think that they're medical doctors. Please leave a comment in the chat. Do you believe that the people that are covertly implanting you in your home are medical doctors, or are they some kind of retired military operative? I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Mercenaries. How can I prove the implants? Oh, you could see it. You could see what they've done to my ears. Oh my goodness. I could actually feel one. They're paid for hire operatives. Yeah. They made like a lot of mistakes with me. Um I can actually feel one to the touch. Like it I can feel a bump. And then they leave all these slices. My ear behind my ears are bleeding. They're bleeding. I have to put peroxide on them, and you could hear my ears sizzling from the peroxide. They're pay for hire operatives. Well, they don't know what they're doing. These are not medical doctors. I mean, I'm a medical doctor would do a much better job than these losers are doing. They're really tearing up my ears and they're leaving scars. So, that we idealize doctors, even those acting in bad faith, demonstrates the efficiency of the idealization bias. Indeed, such reverence overshadows concern for the patient's right to make informed decisions about what is done to her person and relegates protection of the individual's interest in her bodily integrity to a secondary status. Well, I've never been that way. I have never ever been that way. No, I always do alternative treatments. I will go to a medical doctor because I want the medical doctor's quote unquote diagnosis. I want the medical doctor to be able to draw blood from me and analyze it and then give it to my holistic practitioner, give the results to my, alternative practitioner or to myself. The idealization phenomenon is not new. And I wanted to say hi, Ace of Cups. When you were staying in a hotel in New York, you think you were that's really interesting that you say that because Kim Schraub, who is a nurse, she's not with us anymore. She lived in Tennessee, but she said the same thing. She went into New York City with her husband to some kind of convention that her husband had to attend. And she emailed me that she had been implanted while she was in a hotel in New York City. And yes, Sister Carrie Bernard explains the straw man and the need to dissolve your corporation to gain freedom. I've heard of that. I've heard of that. The same for you want me to describe what the implants are doing? They have amplified. They have amplified the tinnitus, and they have amplified these criminals' ability to put me to sleep at will. They did it 4 times today. 4 times while I'm sitting at this laptop, listening to a video, reading, articles and stuff 4 times. Knocked me out. So it seems to be increasing that ability with whatever they've done. But I've heard videos online from medical doctors saying that tinnitus, because it interferes with your brain, like your brain is hearing this 24/7. Like when we multitask, we can kind of we hear it and we don't hear it because we're busy doing other things or other noises in the environment, but your brain is hearing this 24/7, that it can affect you as you age, that it may cause Alzheimer's, it may cause some other things, brain injuries and stuff like that. So please hit the thumbs up. I see that there are 10 people here. If you could just hit the thumbs up, it helps a lot. The Black Ops guy befriended me in New York City hotel. I think it is a Black Ops thing. Oh, and speaking of Black Ops, I didn't know what it was until heard it on a video, like Black Ops. Like, what is that? Black Operation. So I purchased on Amazon. Oh, and I see the criminals already stuck their little fingers in. It arrived perfect. The book arrived perfect. I've got to take a photo of this and post it online. They etched already in the cover of the handbook, which arrived perfectly. Delta Force. They're called Delta Force. Well, they are the worst of the worst. Well, I've got pretty bad people here in Kentucky. Pretty bad. I mean, I thought they were bad in New Jersey, but no. I think it has a lot to do with the type of residence I live in. Yeah, no moral standards. Zero, zero. I've got a very small house here, and I have to leave this house a lot, much more than I did in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, I had a huge house. If I were being radiated in one portion, I would just go sleep in the hallway. So I would just move around a lot more. I don't have a lot of places to move here. So in New Jersey, I had an upstairs, a downstairs, I had an attic that was insulated, and I could literally move around. I had very plush furniture. I had different ways of shielding there, and my shielding materials in New Jersey were never stolen. I never had any of my shielding materials in New Jersey stolen. Never. I never had any electronics stolen. I had them interfered with, but not stolen. Like, so they would break things. Like I had several RF meters that I had to replace like 2 or 3 times. But fortunately, it was within the warranty period, and they just gave me a new one. But no, I have not had those things stolen in New Jersey, and I never woke up with cuts behind my ears in New Jersey. Only here in Kentucky. So the people here are absolutely cruel. They must be banking on stealing my property, which is what they're trying to do. They are destroying the lands here. They are changing the way the water flows here. And I'm going to get to it. I'm going to write an extremely detailed, long accounting of what they're doing here and file a big complaint. And no, it's not going to be with the sheriff's department. It's not going to be with the criminal lawyer. I'm just going to file a big complaint about what's happening here. So anyway, I bought the last one on Amazon, The Agent's Handbook of Black Bag Operations. It's really thin. It's by Desert Publications, and it is, let's see, it's got all these really cool old advertisements in the back. It's only 64 pages. 64 pages. And yeah, you can see that they etched it already. These criminals were in here. Let's see. In this book, I'll just read you some of the table of contents. Okay. Let me see. 2 people came into your bedroom and suddenly I felt my head go numb and I blacked out. Yes, felt like anesthesia. Now, do you think that they're using, there's this drug that they use in other countries called scopolamine. It's basically used in other countries and not necessarily for the reasons that we're experiencing, but they'll use it on tourists. Because tourists going to other countries, they've got money, they're sightseeing, they paid for an airline ticket so they feel that the tourists have money. So, like, somebody will go up to a tourist and they'll just ask them a question and blow this stuff in their face and they'll pass out and then they get stolen. What are you saying? Intraval sodium and halothane pharmaceutical company. Oh, you worked for a pharmaceutical company. And then I was thinking also, if they've got your DNA, can't they stimulate parts of your brain remotely to, to cause you to fall asleep? I know that sometimes though I will feel like a pulse. Like they've hit me in my third eye, my pineal glands here, this past week, that I had a bruise there that scabbed over. I mean, telling you, the people here are sick. They are really trying to get rid of me. They're trying to unalive me. They are torturing me here. Not, I'm sure you're being tortured though too, but they are destroying the lands here. They are trying so hard to steal this property. And I'm going to say it out loud, you fucking criminals. You're not going to take my land. Because I'm going to rat every one of you effers out in a heartbeat. And all the little local stalkers, the Scarlet. Yeah, it is very sick. The Scarlet family and the Perky family and all the other creepos around here that have stolen from me and harassed me and stuff. They've been really quiet lately. Really quiet. So maybe they're not either not getting paid or that's part of the script. Yeah, the forced sleep. They've been doing that to me since New Jersey. I've mentioned this before on my channel. My daughter came home from university and we were watching a movie. She said, "Hey, do you want to watch a movie?" So we took them out of the library. We're watching it. I get knocked out. And my daughter said that the movie went through. I fell asleep and she was trying to wake me up and she could not even wake me up. She got scared because she knows I'm a light sleeper. I used to be a light sleeper. Well, I would hear things in my sleep and just wake up. I would hear my cats purring. I would hear things and wake up. Um, and now they just knock me out. So my daughter was scared. She kept calling me, "Mommy, mommy," like she got scared that I wasn't waking up. And it's like, it started happening in New Jersey. So now this is going on for about 7 years that they're doing this. Yeah, the forced sleep. That's a tool that they're using on me. And what it does is it interrupts the flow. It cannot be healthy. It has to interfere with the circadian rhythm. It absolutely interferes with everything I do. And it's sort of like, when you get on a roll, you have ideas about what you want to do. They are preventing me from doing things that I want to do by putting me to sleep. As a truck driver, that's extremely dangerous. That is so dangerous. That's so dangerous and scary. Wow. Well, in the table of contents for this black bag operations, it's called the Agent's Handbook of Black Bag Operations. The table of contents, it's a short book. So there's the forward, an introduction, operational planning. Here's a good one, plan of entry, operational considerations, entrances and exits, post-operational actions, selection of partners, operational clothing requirements, equipment and assorted paraphernalia. Appendix A is information obtainable from black bag operations. Appendix B is sample plan of actions. Oh, FBI. No, they couldn't be involved in this. No, not my favorite Bureau of Investigation. There's just no way that they would be involved in a black bag operation, would they? And then Appendix C is the references. So I just have to fast forward to page 59. I'm sorry. I was reading the other I was reading the other article. I'll get back to it. But now I've got to fast forward to page 59 where the sample plan of action of the FBI. Let's see. No, page 59. Okay, one second. Page 59. Appendix B, sample plan of action FBI. To give an indication how planning can be detailed in a report in preparation for a black bag operation, which is surreptitious entry in FBI jargon. I'll repeat that. To give an indication how planning can be detailed in a report in preparation for a black bag operation, surreptitious entry in FBI jargon. The following is extracted from an FBI memorandum which contained detailed plans for a post midnight burglarizing of an office building headquarters. The entry plan included descriptions of quote unquote security aspects, such as building floor plans, locks, lighting, surrounding streets, entrances, and the occupants' living habits. Several memoranda describe the security aspects on the FBI agents' plans for security entry into the headquarters. One reads as follows: the headquarters entrance is a storefront on the street level. There's only one entrance to the headquarters, and the door is locked with a master padlock only. The entrance of the building is located approximately 75 feet on the north side of the street from the Second Avenue. The headquarters is a street front located adjacent to the entrance to the apartment building. East of the headquarters storefront are located four similar storefronts within the same building. These are described as follows: from the headquarters going east, New York Telephone Company, an empty storefront, a law office, and an empty storefront. There are four floors of the apartment building dwellings above these storefronts in the building. There's a street light located on the north side of the street, approximately five storefronts east of the headquarters, inasmuch as the nearest other street light is located on the southeast corner of the street. Second Street, the immediate area of the headquarters, is reasonably dark in evening hours. Previous spot checks on numerous occasions have shown that there is a very limited amount of pedestrian and automobile traffic after 12 midnight. These spot checks have also shown that the light of the apartments in the building are darkened. Entrance will be made. Here you go. Here, wait, get this. Entrance will be made between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. The bewitching hour, 4 a.m. When the headquarters moved, the security aspects of the FBI's entry plans were reevaluated as follows. So then they go and they reevaluate it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now it has been ascertained that the paint store at this building closed business between 5 and 6 p.m. So entrance will be made, meaning they're going to break in between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. Okay, so this is what they're doing. From above, you can observe that the planning stage involves a number of details. Essentially, the legwork involved, it took numerous hours to check, and the final report was short, concise, and covered all the basic details that were necessary in order to ascertain the general layout of the target building and surrounding area. Naturally, other more detailed plans would have been drawn up if it were necessary to have more information about the subjects, building, and occupants. In this particular case, the background and motives of the occupants were already known to the FBI. Thus, it was not necessary to include them in the basic plan, since they did not keep irregular hours, have alarm systems present, or in the subject building. Isn't that nice? So I can see that the little report, like, that they're doing on me. Okay, so it's about 30 feet from the chicken coop number one, and she's about 20 feet from the other chicken coop, that newer chicken coop, and she's about 35 feet from that cat building, about 450 feet to the county road. The photo of the storefront fits inscription you're giving from this book. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so this is actually what I just read is the last chapter. Oh, here, wait. This is a good one. Appendix C references. There's a number of general and specialized books that are available to the individual who needs assistance in developing his black bag expertise in various areas. The following books and manuals are available from the publisher of this book. Okay, these are a list of books. Bugs and Electronic Surveillance, CIA Flaps and Seals Manual, Combination Lock Principles, Electronic Stethoscope, Stethoscope. Don't doctors use a stethoscope? Handcuffs. I told you they were perverts. Handcuffs. How to fit keys by impressioning. Keys to understanding tubular locks. Lockout. Techniques of forced entry. Lockpick design manual. Lockpicking simplified. I guess that must be like lock picks for dummies. Locks, picks, and clicks. Oh, how cute. How cute. Locks, picks, and clicks. Master Key Locksmithing, Volumes 1 and 2. Physical Security. Police Guide to Lockpicking and Improvised Lockpicks. Safe and Vault Manual. Techniques of Safe and Vault Manipulation. Oh, here's a good one. The Plumber's Kitchen. Wiretapping Handbook. Aside from these, other subject areas you should consider include books on espionage, police, crime. Many technical books under other innocuous titles exist, but if you don't know what you're looking for, you'll never find it. For instance, I'll just give you a hint that on eBay, if you buy a jammer or any of those kind of devices, it you may see it listed as that item, but when you receive the item, the name is changed and your invoice name is completely different. You will not see it again. Like when you go into your purchases, like on eBay, um, and you go to what you think you just purchased, it will have a different name. That's how they do it. When you're buying it from another country, I can't say the name. I can't say the name. When considering ideas and techniques, watch the police, detective, and related crime shows on TV. The techniques and equipment they use at times are very excellent ideas for the future black bag job. When you see an item, jot down its name or its physical description and do a quick sketch. You may see the item while shopping someday and suddenly realize its potential. Wait, let me see what I have to see what year this book is published. 1 second. This is too funny. 1 second. They wouldn't publish this now. Oh, okay. This is why. It's 1978. 1978. Yeah, 2 years after I graduated high school. 1978. Okay. Oh, here's another good one. Hardware stores. In order to order the various pieces of hardware they sell, have a very interesting manuals that you do not normally see. And they're not normally available to the average person outside the hardware business. I never consider that. Drop by and see if you can get one and several old hardware catalogs. They cover a myriad of tools, equipment, parts, and lots of information about the uses for these products. The ideas the book can give you are tremendous. I'm telling you guys, you know what we need to do? There are really, like, really smart kids on TikTok and YouTube that, like, build things. Like, I watched one build a microwave device on YouTube. A kid. He was a teenager. We need to hire one. We need to hire some of these kids to help us. A general magazine, while not specific in details, has quite a number of advertisements that could be of interest to the average black bagger. Popular Science, Popular Mechanics, Illustrated, True, etc. Now, these are really old magazines. I'm going to tell you, go check out the magazine Wired. Wired. All these, even the vintage issues of 20 years ago, are excellent references when you consider the advertisements. Great ideas come from a simple advertisement. Also consider Soldier or Fortune magazine, a professional magazine for mercenaries. You just said that word, mercenaries. You just said the word. Um, A professional magazine for mercenaries offers products listing ideas that are absolutely fantastic and that can be used by the black bag individual who needs a little piece of self protection or specialized knowledge in order to carry out an operation. Isn't that interesting? 1978. Oh, and just this is just for educational purposes only. This is not legal advice. It's not medical advice. It's not my favorite beer of instigation advice. It's not any other kind of advice. I'm just reading a book from 1978 on black bag operations, the agent's handbook. It needs to be a little updated with cloaking technology, the cloakers that are on my property. And yeah, they're cloakers here. Oh, I want to thank, I don't know if you're here, but I want to thank, no, you're not here. I want to thank the person that told me to buy this spotlight. Well, I bought this spotlight and it's absolutely amazing. I can see like details out in the forest here. I did it tonight before I signed online. I wanted to check out what was going on back in the woods, and the light reflects on the eyeballs of the animals that are hanging out there. I don't know, they could be animals or humans. I saw three of them, two eyeballs each. Please hit the thumbs up. I see there are 15 people here. Please hit the thumbs up. Yeah, so I was reading the Agent's Handbook of Black Bag Operations that I got on Amazon. I purchased the last one, and it's from 1978. Oh boy, it was so much fun back then, guys. It was fun back in the 70s. So anyway, let's see. They've got. I'm gonna have to read this, but I'm gonna go back to. I started out reading. Okay, let me get back to it. When human experimentation is criminal, because that's what they're doing to us. Calling these goons animals is a compliment. Well, I agree. That's why, like, I get really pissed off when people call the cops pigs. I mean, pigs are highly intelligent and they're the cutest. You ever see a little baby pig? They're like the cutest things in the world. They're sweet, they're intelligent. Do not call the cops pigs. Please, I hate that term. I just absolutely hate it. It's better to use my acronyms, the cops, criminals on patrol, lops, losers on patrol, mops, morons on patrol. Those are your local gang stalking neighbors. Pops, predators on patrol, predators on patrol, pedos on patrol, perpetrators on patrol. And then the wops, which are the witches on patrol. And I've got a lot of those around here. A lot of wops. They like to put their bitchcraft all over the place. So I spent this morning collecting some bitchcraft, and when I posted that video, one of the first persons that commented said that I was crazy. So I just banned that person from the channel. Yeah. Perverts on patrol. Pops. Yeah. Hi, Billy. Yeah. Pops are perverts on patrol, pedos on patrol, predators on patrol. There's so many words with a P that we could use for pops. So yeah, so there's cops, lops, bops, pops, and wops. Hi, hi, Billy. Yeah, so we've just been chatting up a storm since since around 10 p.m. Yeah, so I was reading. This is a research article from 2009. Yeah, 2009, when human experimentation is criminal, and how there is a bias. And again, this is back in 2009. I don't think that we have the exact same bias about medical doctors anymore, especially since the 19 from 2020, 21, 22. I posted. I don't know if anybody subscribes to Patrick Humphrey. He's like a prepper, and he gives a lot of news like every day. And he wrote a warning to not trust the hospitals. And of course, I had to add my 2 cents there and post what happened to my mother in hospital, that she was unalived with the CV-19 protocol, even though she tested negative 2 times, um, and that she was unalived. Well, after that, person after person after person after person told their own story about a brother or a sister, an aunt or an uncle or a mother or father or relative or a friend. The exact same thing happened to them. I'm still getting, like, this is weeks, 2 weeks later. People are still responding to that one post. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Well, I guess it was a couple of years ago when I had my targeted mailing list. I called it the URL list for research and learning. Um, There was an article that I was sharing called I don't know if I could even say it. I'm going to type it, okay? I'm going to type it here. So there was an article on what I just typed there. I'm not going to say it. Back during the Hitler days, the nurses there were doing not so good things to babies. And they were brainwashed into thinking that they were doing something good by not feeding them so that they would not exist anymore. Nurses were doing this to babies back then. And they would justify it in their mind that they were doing something good. I think a lot of that happened during the 19, and all the last 4 years of this administration, where doctors have been doing unthinkable things to people, prescribing ridiculous protocols. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. I see now there are 20 people here. Hit the thumbs up, please, please, please. Yeah, so that article, if I could find it again, in fact, I'm going to leave myself a note um, and see if I can find it again. It was fascinating. But I think also, hi, Fred, how you doing? I've noticed that a lot of nurses of my generation have become targets. Oh, yeah, no, now there are 14 likes. Yeah, I see 14, but there are 20 people. If you could hit the thumbs up. Hi, Steve. Oh, yeah, are you gonna leave? You suspect my stalkers? Do you suspect my stalkers are my former working colleagues? Um, okay, let me just give you a little history of my work. I have been self-employed since 1990. I've been self-employed since 1990. My daughter was born in 1989, and literally, I think by the time no, 1992. Okay, 1992. I left my corporate job in New York City. They were going to close down anyway. I already was aware that they were going to close down, but I resigned and got a huge, like I got a little bit of a payout. And then they closed down. I mean, I already knew I was the corporate human resources manager. There was no way for me to not know that they were going down the tubes. So um, that was the last full time job that I had working for somebody else. In New Jersey, I worked part time for three realtors actually. One was a woman named Linda Trott, and I was her assistant, and she ended up. And when I think back, I think she was targeted. She and her husband were returning home from New York City, and a truck, a huge truck, the driver allegedly fell asleep and rammed into their Mercedes or whatever and killed them upon impact. So then, after they unalived her, and because I was her assistant, I had to clean up the office, and it was horrible. It was a horrible thing. But then it was negotiated that we went to another realtor temporarily. So we did that, and then after that, I got a job with another realtor, and again, I was her right hand person, and I don't know if she would have done something like that, but it's very possible. But after that, I worked at a mortgage company, I should say a title company, part time. And there was one woman there who was really obnoxious to me. But I have to wonder if I wasn't already targeted at that point. I don't remember the exact year that was, but after that, I worked for myself. And then I did work with other agencies, um, sourcing candidates for job openings. I started I started really noticing in 2012, but I went back into my folders and files and stuff, and I had the same stuff happening to me in 2009. My father was targeted, his wife was targeted, my biological brother is targeted. My biological brother confided that he gets V2K. I never knew it. I didn't know it until my mother died, till she passed away, and I had to get in contact with him. Unfortunately, I don't speak to my brother. I don't like my brother. Okay, I don't like my brother, but he did tell me that he gets V2K, and that when he goes to sleep at night, he unplugs everything, um, takes fuses out of the fuse box. Let me just read what you say. It's very possible you and my family, mom and dad, have been targeted from a very young age. I agree. I'm going to tell you what happened to my grandma, my mother's mother. She went into the hospital for a routine hysterectomy, and during the night, she bled to death. And she was like 42 years old. That was my grandmother, my mom's mom. So that's extremely traumatic, right? It's like a trauma-based mind control thing. So that affected my mother, right? But I know that my father, who worked at IBM in the International Research Department, I've been having this conversation. I've been thinking about this more often too. My father was absolutely targeted. I think that's why when IBM had their first big layoff, my father was one of them. I mean, he was with them for like 30 years. They had like all the stock options and great medical insurance and stuff like that. But he worked with the research scientists and they stole his ideas. And to the point where my father had an idea for a carbine. He used to tell us about it all the time. And of course, as a kid, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, this carbine. But my brother, after my father passed away, which was highly suspicious also, um, my brother said that somebody had patented my father's invention. It was trading on the stock exchange. And my father invented like a lot of things. And now that I know that patents by regular people can be squelched by the GOV, I have to wonder if my father did attempt at patenting some of his ideas because he always told me, make sure that you patent your stuff. If you trademark it, patent it, copyright it. He would tell me this growing up. And then it just occurred to me, like, why didn't he patent his ideas? But after reading the book by Naima and Tavon Morris, and I read that whole chapter on patenting, that even if regular people like you and I have a patent and they don't want you to have it, they'll keep putting it aside, putting aside, putting aside, putting aside. It'll go on like that for years and years. And then somebody else will grab it and call it something else and patent it under their name. So, yeah, so my biological brother is targeted with V2K. My father was targeted. I don't think my mother was until she was older because my mother worked for a law firm for like 33 years. And then she worked for another law firm. Then she worked for my mother has always been employed. She never had work sabotage. She just get job after job after job because she was such a good worker. She was trustworthy. Everybody loved her. She never took time off from work. Um, she always looked good. She like kowtowed to everybody. So she never had any kind of work sabotage. But besides the fact that if anybody ever tried, my mother would put you in her place. I'll tell you, she would just put somebody in their place. So no, so I don't think my mother got targeted until I became targeted. Oh, hi, Sarah. How are you? Sarah, I think it was you. Are you the one that recommended that I buy a spotlight? that that nice handheld spotlight? Was it you? That was like the best thing I bought recently. Oh, no, it wasn't you? Somebody, maybe it was another Sarah. I don't know. Somebody recommended it in a comment section and gave me a link. My mother did not want me. My mother's intuition was after I got here, she wanted me to leave. She said, yeah, she had very strong intuition. She says, she didn't think it was safe for me here. She wanted me to leave. And my mother was going to visit me. If my mother didn't end up being unalived, she would have visited me. And if she would have visited me, her Geiger counter, her internal Geiger counter would have been going off everywhere. She would have begged me. I would have moved already. I would have been gone already. Yes. And now they're doing everything inhumanly possible to keep me here. But no, I will be moving. I will be moving. And I will be filing a complaint about what you're doing to what they're doing to the property and how it's been systemic. They've been trying to flood my property for years, pointing water towards my property, pouring concrete in areas that shouldn't have concrete. They're digging out areas. They're changing the landscape of my property. They're cutting down trees to cause erosion, fake erosion. But welcome, welcome. So, for those of you who are just joining, I was reading the research paper When Human Experimentation is Criminal, and it's by L. Song Richardson from 2009. So I guarantee if this research were performed now, it would be a little bit different. And of course, the way researchers are presenting research now is also highly censored. Because whomever is providing the research funding usually has a say in how the research conclusions are manipulated. That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's manipulated. All the research is manipulated, depending on who's backing it, who's financially backing it. And I always take my animals with me. Yeah, my mom was right. She was absolutely right. And they have sabotaged. I had my certain properties listed for sale last year, and they got to my real estate agent who did absolutely nothing. She did absolutely nothing for me. Yep, absolutely zero for me. And I'll tell you who she is. Let me see. Tell you. Her name is Cassie Foley with Century 21. I will never hire Century 21 or recommend them ever again. And I'll tell you, she had my listing for 3 months and did absolutely nothing. She told me that there was a couple who was going to visit from Tennessee. She never got back to me. I sent her a message October 4th, 2023. No response. I said, "Hi, Cassie. Did the couple from Tennessee visit this weekend?" October 22nd, 2023. "Hi, Cassie. I left you a voicemail a few minutes ago." October 24th. "Please let me know when my advertising ads expire on your MLS." October 30th, I still don't hear from her. October 30th, 2023. "Cassie, did the listings expire today?" She responds, "They ended." Absolutely nothing. This biatch from Century 21. She had my listing from August. Let's see here. One second. No, I'm sorry. She had it from July. She had my listing from July, August, September, October. Zero. Zero. Cassie Foley, Century 21. And 21, 2 plus 1 equals 3. C, 21. I would never hire Century 21. Anybody's listening? I'm reading actual text messages that I saved from Cassie Foley and me. I saved them all. She had my listing from July to October and did zero. So anyway, so I was yeah. Oh yeah, she was obviously contacted, but how unethical and unprofessional she is. But my stalkers, you little fuckers, I'm gonna say it out loud. I've already called them out, and I'm gonna be filing another complaint. I will be filing another complaint, and this is not gonna just go to the attorney general. It's gonna go elsewhere. They did this to me in New Jersey too. They blocked me for 3 years until I hired somebody uh, who was not easily swayed. And in fact, she placed me. She put me on speakerphone to let me hear what another real estate agent told my agent. She was telling my agent, because this was the campaign, that they could not sell my house for more than a certain amount of money. She put it on speakerphone, and I grabbed that phone. I said, "Excuse me? You're telling my realtor that she can't sell my house for more than this money, this amount of money?" And that woman hung up on me. That agent hung up on me. It has to be someone high up, Lorraine. Oh yeah, it's the county lawyer, Ross Murray. The county lawyer, he's got his little knickers all over the place. He's the one from the very beginning, since I moved here, when my neighbors tore out my gate. He had the audacity in writing, threatened me with eminent domain. Threatened me in writing. And guess what? All of his emails gone. Somebody came into my emails and got rid of every email that he ever sent or that I sent to him. They're all gone. Ross Murray, the county lawyer, the county prosecutor, who also appears to have a real estate license. That's okay, Ross Murray. Your little weenie friends here running back to you with all the little gossip and everything. Wait till I report you to the Brady list, you little effer. And don't think I'm not going to do it. I will report you for your crimes against me. This lawyer had the audacity to tell one of my stalkers that he cannot return my gate without filing a civil suit. Are you kidding me? I have to file a civil lawsuit to get my property back? In what area of law does that make any sense at all? Well, I don't know who else is higher up. Yeah. The only one that's higher up here that seems to control everybody, and he controls the sheriff's department too, is this county lawyer, this little weenie boy. You think it goes above Ross Murray? What do you think it's my favorite Bureau of Instigation? I mean, I've reported them too. But he is the one who has threatened me. He is the one who trespassed my property with my neighbor. So he's just middle management. Ross Murray's the middle management. So I wonder who he reports to, right? Well, somebody is threatening people here. And I know for a fact that my neighbors have threatened my workers. I've witnessed it. My workers have actually told me what my neighbors have said to them. Yes, absolutely. Well, everything is a reaction, because they've got to program their AI, their models. And whoever's here, please remember to hit the thumbs up. Now, who's oh, Techno Kid? I didn't see you arrive. Okay, Welcome, welcome. Welcome, newcomers. Welcome to the chat. I started at 10 and I started reading the article, and it's really interesting, actually. It's a research when human experimentation is criminal. They're discussing how medical doctors are placed on a pedestal and how there's this idealization, like people idealize doctors and researchers thinking that they're gods, and that they have a bias towards them, that they can do no harm, even when they are doing harm. Not telling people, like having doing things non-consensually, and that the doctors are not acting in good faith. But people are saying, well, they think that the doctors are acting in good faith, when in fact that the doctors are failing to disclose relevant information and they're not serving their own ends, but should be for the benefit of the patient. So I'll just continue reading a little bit here. Importantly, idealization bias can be overcome in individual cases. After all, some doctors are prosecuted for criminal conduct. However, when these prosecutions occur, there is usually an explanation for why the role schema was conquered. In some cases, the person's role as a doctor was merely coincidental to the conduct. In others, alternative schemas were more salient. For example, the so called war on drugs likely primes, quote unquote, prosecutors and law enforcement to be ever vigilant for evidence of improper drug distribution. Hence, doctors are prosecuted for allegedly improperly prescribing narcotic painkillers to patients. In these cases, the power of the war on drugs prime can explain the ascendance of the drug dealer's schema over the doctor's schema. And in some, when doctors are prosecuted, it appears that alternative schemas are more salient and thus defeat the idealization bias. So, in prosecuting these doctors, the people who are in a position to do so don't have that idealized bias that doctors are gods, right? And then there's the social benefit bias. Another explanation for the failure to prosecute culpable researchers is that they are engaged in socially beneficial research. I've always said that's total BS. Socially beneficial research, sort of like unaliving Peanut the squirrel. Oh, he might have rabies. So we have to unalive him to make sure that he doesn't. Meanwhile, he's been living inside somebody's house for 7 years. If anybody knows what a rabid animal looks like, one, they would not live for 7 years. They would never live for 7 years inside somebody's home. They would be drooling. They would look like they're drunk. They would wobble around. They would be angry. I mean, come on. That squirrel was not rabid. But, this is what happens when you target a family. You steal their animals and then search their home for 5 hours on your tax dollars, all with your tax dollars. Social cognition research establishes that an individual's motivations can play a significant role in determining which concepts, beliefs, and rules we apply to a judgment. We may be especially likely to apply those that are congruent with our goals. In fact, motivations may be the most important factor affecting the schema an individual adopts. See, the motivations. So it's sort of like the motivations that the stalkers and the community based agents and these black op people have. What motivates them? Well, what motivates them is money. What motivates them is sadistic pleasure. What motivates them is psychopathy. These are sick people. The failure to punish culpable researchers may stem from a fear that punishment would stymie the medical research that we're motivated to promote. I don't know. There is not a lot of medical research that I'm promoting these days. Besides the fact that we have AI and computer models of every animal, every human, male, female, internal, the vascular system, the bone structure. It's all mapped already. We do not need to experiment on humans or animals anymore. We don't. That's just my opinion. Perhaps the best example of social benefit bias and its close relationship to idealization bias is Moore. This is a Moore versus Regents of the University of California. This is a case involving surreptitious research. Mr. Moore had a rare and deadly, the C word, which YouTube doesn't like this word, known as hairy cell leukemia in his spleen. He sought treatment from Dr. David Gold, a prominent C specialist at UCLA Medical Center. He gave Dr. Gold permission to conduct a splenectomy, which is the surgical removal of his spleen to treat his leukemia. After the successful procedure, Moore moved to Seattle. When Dr. Gold asked Moore to return for follow up treatments, Moore was not suspicious. For the next 7 years, Moore dutifully flew from Seattle to California every few months and underwent sometimes painful medical procedures that included withdrawing samples of his blood, his skin, his bone marrow, aspirate him, and his sperm. He made the trek because Dr. Gold asserted that the procedures were medically necessary and that only he could perform them. And neither assertion was true. What Mr. Moore did not know was that prior to his surgery, Dr. Gold had developed research and financial interest in Moore's cells. The procedures Dr. Gold performed after the successful surgery had nothing to do with treating Moore's leukemia, which was already in remission, and instead, Dr. Gold was actively conducting research on his Moore's cells solely for financial gain and commercial advantage. Dr. Gold exploited the doctor patient relationship to ensure that he had exclusive access to Moore's cells, which is CELLS. When Moore specifically asked Dr. Gold whether there was any possible research interest or financial benefit in his bodily substances, Dr. Gold repeatedly told him no and actively discouraged such inquiries. In fact, Dr. Gold went so far as to say there was no commercial or financial value in Moore's tissue. What a liar, huh? Mr. Gold never asked Moore for his consent to remove his blood and tissues. However, at the close of 7 years, which by the way is a Saturn cycle, Saturn, the planet Saturn, SATURN, and Satan, Saturn, Satan, 7 years, Dr. Gold asked him to sign a consent form after 7 years, giving UCLA permission to use the withdrawn tissue for research purposes. Dr. Gold presented the consent form as a mere formality, and Moore signed it. Oh my goodness. I can't believe he signed it. How stupid. However, Moore became suspicious when he later declined to sign a similar consent form. Okay, so later he declined to sign a similar consent form. Dr. Gold offered to pay for his airfare and accommodations at a ritzy Beverly Hills hotel. Talk about bribery, huh? He must have been banking on this guy. Moore hired a lawyer. During his investigation, the lawyer discovered that Dr. Gold had obtained a patent. Oh my goodness. He obtained a patent on the cell line developed from Moore's cell. Oh my God, this guy was making a lot of money. He learned that Dr. Gold had a contract. Oh my goodness. He had a contract with a biotechnology company that gave Dr. Gold stocks and financing worth more than $3.5 million to commercially develop and scientifically investigate the cell line. The market value of the selling line was predicted to reach $3 billion. Now, this was back in 2009. Upon learning of the deception, Moore said that he felt violated for dollars, invaded, and like RAPED. I don't know if YouTube allows that word. Moore sued Dr. Gold for conversion. Conversion. I have to remember that. One second. He sued him for conversion. His lawsuit was dismissed by the trial court, but reinstated by the Court of Appeals and finally made its way to the California Supreme Court. I just got pulsed on the left side of my temple after I said the word conversion. You don't like that word? Must be true. You can sue for conversion. Over strongly worded dissents, the majority refused to extend conversion liability to Moore's situation and acknowledged that the tort of conversion would protect individual autonomy. However, the court decided against extending the theory to the medical research context because recognition would create disincentives to the conduct of socially beneficial research that was of importance to all of society. That's total BS. In so holding, the court touted protection of innocent researchers. Yeah, right, innocent researchers, despite the fact that Dr. Gold was not an innocent researcher acting in good faith. Invocation of the innocent researcher ideal demonstrates the sometimes intimate relationship between the social benefit and the idealization bias. The entire court agreed that Dr. Gold deliberately failed to obtain consent in order to mine Moore's body for cells in the furtherance of Dr. Gold's financial interests. Despite this, the majority's primary concern was to avoid stymieing socially useful conduct. Oh, this is just sickening. The Moore decision marks an unwillingness to recognize insults to human dignity that result from intentional fraud. Intentional fraud. What appears to distinguish the Moore case from a typical assault or fraud case, customarily subject to the criminal sanction, is the potential social benefit of the researcher's conduct and a fear that recognition of Moore's interest would stymie future research. Well, how about it would definitely stymie future fraudulent research without informed consent? I don't know. I think this needs to be reworded. Research engaged in intentional misconduct have taken advantage of social benefit bias, intentionally or unintentionally, to deflect attention away from their bad acts, demoralize the victim, and shape public opinion. They have become availability entrepreneurs who can package events to benefit from social benefit bias. For example, in defending against accusations that his surreptitious mining of Moore's body was for his own financial benefit, Dr. Gold stated, if there is economic gain, it will be to the people of California. Yeah, right. I want to see that. I would like to see that. I would like to see how much money he donated to the people of California. Dr. Gold's attorney described Moore to others as an ingrate. Is that unbelievable? That Gold saved Moore's life. Most people would embrace the doctor with gratitude. One newspaper reported that Moore's suit has raised the passions of the scientific community, which warns that if he's successful, that he'll strike a blow against future medical research. It is not surprising then that the general public who stands to reap the benefits of research are affected. Unbelievable. I'm going to stop reading here. It's pissing me off a little bit. So I'll be like, this is page 17 of the article, but page 105 of their PDF. So I think that's really interesting. Oh, you know what? Let me post a link to the PDF. Oh, actually, it's in my downloads. I'm gonna have to convert it here. Here, 1 second. 1 second. Here it is. Oh, that's not it. Where did it go? Oh, I think I clicked it off. The original folder that I found it in. Well, this is, let's see. And I can't, here you go. Let's see. Oh, hi, Battle for Your Brain. Well, that's true. That's already been proven that they love opposites. I mean, that's what the agenda is. So that's why they want to turn boys into girls, girls into boys. Hey, you know what? They have kids now that think that they're cats and they need to use a litter box. Please make this make sense to me. I know I'm not getting it. However, our new to be president has already come out and said that there are only two genders, male and female. There's nothing in between. That's it. So let me see here. What you're saying here. Thanks for putting light on this evil program. Hi everyone. How's everybody doing? Non-consensual human experimentation and public dehumanization going. Yes. Yes. So I was reading the article, the PDF article, when human experimentation is criminal from 2009. And this was this was published in the Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology, and it was by Northwestern University School of Law. It's really interesting. I would venture to say that people, the Baphomet, yeah, yep, absolutely. And what about that rainbow? Oh my God, they're they just bastardize everything. That's why, like a lot of people say, well, astrology is evil. Oh, tarot cards are evil. No, they're not. But these Freemasons and the witches and the wops and the cops and all these witches, these ritual people, they take what is good and distort it and make it evil. Yes, Saturn is Satan. And see, the thing is, they do things in sevens. You know, have you ever heard of the 27 Club? You know, all those musicians that magically passed away at the age of 27? That is a Saturn cycle. And those are sacrifices. Can I say that word? Am I allowed to say that word? This is for educational purposes only. They were too influential, like Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix. What's that guy from the Doors? Um, oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Sue Ann, Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison. Yes, Jim Morrison. Yes, the 27 Club. There were more. There are some actors. Um, there were some actors who at 27, and also some of the kiddos that were, that's the word, the child actors that grew up and they were whatever. I'm not going to say it, but you're understanding what I'm saying, right? But some of them passed away at that age. It's a Saturn cycle. 7, 14, 21. It's at 28, 27, 28 years old. It depends. Depends on, see, Saturn can retrograde. So that's why it could be between 27 and 28 years old when it hits the birth chart. Yeah, the rainbow mocking of God. Meanwhile, you know, when pets pass away, we're always saying that they go over the rainbow bridge. So like a rainbow in the sky, which is a beautiful thing. When you see a rainbow, and that the pets are, in the rainbow bridge and they're all playing together and everything. Well, they perverted the rainbow. Like, I don't want to look at a rainbow anymore. I honestly don't want to look at the rainbow. And I know somebody from a long time ago that transitioned from being a guy, a huge, tall guy, into a woman, and I just can't deal with it. I just I can't deal with it. And it's like what ends up happening is that the hormones really change a person. They really change a person to think differently and feel differently. Where if they were not taking those hormones, they would never be thinking and feeling the way that they do. So again, it's a pharmaceutical, becomes a pharmaceutical issue. But yeah, it's a 27 club. So these are sacrifices, and they do everything by numbers. I see that they're global cash system. Hi. Hi. That's a cool name, global cash system. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. I see 23 people here, and there are 18 thumbs up. Hi. So I was reading an article, I should say research paper, and I'll continue to read it on my channel. So this is going to be considered to be part two. When Human Experimentation is Criminal by L. Song Richardson. You can find this by typing in, any search. When Human Experimentation is Criminal. It's free. You can download it. It's a PDF. It's 45 pages long. But I know that there are a lot of targeted people that, you're still working and stuff, and you like to listen to something while you're driving, while you're cooking, when you're cleaning. So, like, I did a poll a while back. I said, do you guys prefer like the really short videos, like a 6 or an 8 minute or a 10-minute video, or something a little bit longer? And almost everybody said that they prefer something a little bit longer, like a half an hour or more. I don't always have the time to sit down and do that, but that's what we do here on Saturday night. Men are loving on men. Whatever. I mean, come on, gay men have lived for decades and decades, but they didn't make a big deal about it, right? They didn't make a big deal by forcing it in your face and telling you that you have to call them something, you know? I don't even know, like, all these names that these people are calling themselves. What they bot binary? What the hell? Binary? What is a binary? A binary is a number. It's a number system. I don't know. I'm sorry for anybody that thinks that they're binary. I don't know. I'm old. I don't think that way. There are male and female. You're either guy or girl. And unfortunately, though, this is true, very true, that sometimes, I don't, what the hell is non-binary? What the hell is that? But sometimes it is true that sometimes a child will be born with two sets of genitalia, or a set of genitalia that's not completely formed. So, and sometimes a child can be born with another set of genitalia that is hidden inside. You don't see it. That's also a possibility. You just don't know. Let's see. It's only a matter of time before the system is exposed. These operators will be exposed for what they are. They are playing God. More and more people are waking up. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how more. Come on, the Amish came out to vote this year. They don't vote. They don't have telephones. They don't have computers. They came out to vote this year. Miracles do happen. And yes, the system is being exposed. Yes, it is being exposed. And I've said it before, like what happens to these what do they call them? Useful idiots? What do the controllers do when the people that they've been used, and I don't mean us because they're banking on us, right? The people that they used know too much about what's going on. What do they do with those people? They usually get rid of them. Oh, but anyway, yeah, it is a matter of time before they get. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, we'll have a new president and things will change. At least he's putting into place methods to get rid of the invaders. Maybe close that border. I think that's a huge problem. I said that. I said that in one of my videos, what a huge problem it was, and somebody wrote in the comments section, "Don't you think being a targeted person is a worse problem?" Well, it sure is a huge problem. But most of the population is not aware of what's happening with us. They are aware of what's happening over the border. Like, I don't know anybody that's not aware of that. I mean, it's hard to not know. It's all over the news, even. So, does anybody have any ideas for future conversations you'd like me to discuss or research? And just remember that if you have a testimony that you would like to share, a written testimony, some people are shy, they don't want their faces shown or their names. You can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. Here, let me just, I'll type it in for you guys. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to read more of Robert Duncan's book. I've got so many books, I jump around from book to book, but what I'd like to do is if I start reading a chapter from a book like this article, I want to read more about this research. Maybe I'll just pass. I'll I'll scan it to see what really important things are because it's 45 pages. I'm not reading 45 pages. Um, Even in graduate school, I just skip through my research and scan it for the good stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have to scan these 45 pages, and I'll probably do this is part two. I'll probably do two more parts on this research article because I think it's important, and I think the message at the end is important for all research subjects. And then I think I might look for updated research because this is really old. Although I have a feeling that, a lot of the older researchers they were more morally ethical than a lot of newer researchers that are involved in brain research. Really? Dirty truth? Um, Somebody wrote a comment in the comments section of one of my videos recently that Romola D has an article on her Everyday Concerned Citizens website that back in 2017, a letter was sent to the former president about our situation, that he's aware of it. Yeah, it's off. There are just too many hands involved in the pot. Too many. And too many people are scared. They're afraid to speak out. I mean, the way I look at it is they're trying to kill us. How are you not going to speak out when that's what their goal is? You going to stay quiet while they do it? Not me. I'm not going to stay quiet while they're doing it. And yeah, this week they were like targeting my throat. They're evil, just very evil people. And I know that they're a lot of the things that they do to me. I don't think it's being done by a man. I think there's a woman. She might have blonde hair. There used to be one with dark hair. She followed me from New Jersey to Kentucky. Yeah, I saw her in my hotel, and then I saw her in town after I moved here. It was my hotel before I moved here, so I saw her twice. She gave herself away. Do a tarot reading for each other. We can do that sometime. I'll have to do it earlier in the night because it's midnight here and I've been talking for 2 hours. And I'm tired. I want a cup of coffee. I want a cup of coffee. If you had a question, yes. Well, I have an idea. Maybe for the next, if you're interested, maybe the next live stream, you can send me your questions and I'll pull cards. I can pull cards. Um, I I used to get hired to do that at Sweet 16s, at uh, high school graduations, pajama parties. Actually, the owner of the party planner, the top New Jersey party planner, hired me for her pajama party. She would invite her friends over, and I'd read cards for them. They're all in their pajamas. These grown women in their pajamas, and I would read cards for them. Let's see. Fred, has Trump spoken about what is being done to many uh, us, of us? Oh, for me too. Oh, okay, a slumber party. Yes, she had slumber parties. They were such fun. I'm telling you, I loved reading cards at these parties. I absolutely loved it. I mean, I would read one on one for people. A lot of people would call me up over the phone, and even when I moved here, there's somebody that calls me on the phone, and we do a reading over the phone. But in New Jersey, I loved doing the parties. It was such fun. There was one time I did a one for, oh my goodness, it was a I was a 13-year-old's birthday party. Like I was shocked that they even hired me. But I brought these like really benign cards. They were like flower cards and angel cards. And I read flower and angel cards for the little girlies. It was such fun. Yeah, it's a lot of it's I love the cards. There's so many different kinds. And these criminals, they like to steal them from me. They like to steal my inventory. They're just thieves. They're of the misguided belief that we don't have rights. But anyway, so yeah, so if you have any ideas that you want me to talk about, that's an interesting idea about reading cards. Although I'm telling you that for a fact that there are people, subscribers that don't like that at all. They don't even like me to talk about it. But I mean, I did it. I read cards for years and years. I'm not a witch. I did it for a living. I made a lot of money reading tarot cards at parties. Yes. Oh, you know what? I was actually hired to get a particular card from. I have not been reading cards for myself here. I used to read all the time. But I was actually hired at a senior citizen senior places, and it was so fun. So all the seniors would come because they have these gatherings for them where they have entertainments. So I was the entertainment. So all these older people, some of them were actually in wheelchairs, and I would ask them what their birthdays were, and I would tell them, a little bit about them, and then they would talk amongst themselves. And one of them said, "Well, I'm this sign." Another one said that sign, and I said, "I bet you two don't get along with each other." It was just so funny. Yeah, they do act as if they're judge, jury, and executioner. You know why? Well, because nothing's happening to them. Imagine, okay, think about this. Think about when you were a teenager. If your parents never reprimanded you, if your parents never gave you time out, if your parents never took away your TV time, if they never said you can't go out, if your parents didn't hate your boyfriend or girlfriend, um, and you were let to do whatever you wanted to do, what kind of a person would you have grown up to be? If you grew up without boundaries, without rules, without regulations, if there was no punishment for coming home late, for, flunking out of school, yeah, you'd be a spoiled, exactly. You would be a spoiled brat. You turn into a narcissist. And that's why I have like a real problem when people say, "Oh, well, narcissists, they're narcissists because they grew up in such a bad home. They had such a horrible home life." That's not necessarily so. Many of them were spoiled rotten. And I guess you could say that being spoiled rotten is abusive. If you're spoiled rotten, it's abusive. You're not giving them boundaries, whatever. But there are a lot of spoiled rotten brats out there. Sort of like the guy that unalived that beautiful targeted woman, Micah Miller. Yeah, I shouldn't say even say the name. Yeah, the spoiled brats. Oh, I just got pulsed. The little fuckers just pulsed me now in the head. Yes, Micah Miller is a targeted woman who was unalived by her pastor husband, who hired people to off her. And then they just pulsed me again. And they did the same thing with Gabby Petito, that beautiful YouTube influencer. It's just unbelievable what they do. It's horrible. But anyway, I think I'm going to end here because it's 12:20, and I swore to myself that I was going to end at at midnight, because then by the time I close everything out and upload it and replay it, I want to see if the music that I was playing at the beginning is actually on, if it was actually recorded. So the people who were in the chat in the beginning, I was playing music, copyright free music, but nobody could hear the music except for me. But fortunately, we're not hearing that disgusting male grumbly voice underneath. I was going to report it to YouTube. But anyway, thank you all for joining in the chat this evening. Again, if you've got any ideas, right, exactly. I agree. And the thing is, there are other targeted people that talk about astrology, because it's not what these criminals do to astrology. They bastardize astrology. They bastardize numerology. And these are it's divine guidance, actually. It really is. And astrology is actually it's planetary geometry. Oh well, thank you, Ace of Cups. I really appreciate that. I thank you. I mean, I love astrology. I was really good at it. Um, we're opposite in politics. Well, you know what my mother always told me? She says, do not discuss religion or politics. So I'm not religious at all. So I don't discuss religion. And politics, well, I shouldn't discuss it. It's only because the Amish voted this year that I'm discussing politics. Yeah. So, yeah, well, my daughter did not vote for him. My daughter can't stand him. So, like, I love my daughter. But, she did not vote for him for sure. I shouldn't have even asked her. So, I think that just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that you can't vote for them. It's not about liking somebody, it's about, what they can do for the country, you know? I don't like any politicians. I mean, except for maybe Rand Paul. Well, there are actually a couple of them that I do like. That's not true. There are a couple of them I like, but I just try not to get involved with it. It takes up too much time. It makes me angry. It just pisses me off. It pisses me off more than I already am. So, but anyway. Oh, and my cat Zumi came back. I was so upset, like literally thinking about it all day, because he's not the type of cat to disappear, and he's huge. Like, how could you miss him? But he ran out yesterday morning. I found him on my camera, 7:44 a.m. Of course, it's his daylight savings time, so it was a little bit later, but still too early. And he disappeared all day. I don't know where he went. And then he didn't come back last night. When I call him, he usually comes running out from wherever he is. Didn't come back. Wasn't on inside. And then he showed up like later tonight, like around 5 o'clock at night. It's like, where was he? Like, what was he doing? I have no idea. He disappeared for 24 hours. He was gone. It just disappeared. I mean, where's a cat that big disappear to? And then he just shows up. He just like walks out of nowhere. But I have to say that stranger things have happened here. Like, my cats have disappeared here forever because they will knock me out and put me to sleep and come in and swoop down on one of my animals. And they have done that. But he's back. He's back. His eyes didn't look good. It's like he's got some eye infection or whatever. So I had to put some terramycin in his eyes. But that could just be from being outside here and spraying the skies. And yeah, I'm glad too. I'm glad too. But anyway, thank you all for joining in the chat. I hope everybody has a good rest of the evening. I know some of you guys are on the West Coast, so he is cute. He is cute. I so wish I caught a video of him pretending to be a fox. He's been I have a fox, and I feed the fox, and I like the fox. I have no problem with the fox. But Zumi has been staying out later and later because he's been playing with the fox. So yeah, so he's been playing with the fox, and foxes jump. They kind of hop. They do like this little. It's like really cute. They've got a very cute gait when they're like just walking, but then they'll do this like this little hop up in the air. And Zumi did this little hop up in the air when he was doing his zoom, but then he just hopped up in the air. I said, like he's like copying the fox. Like I thought it was so cute. I so wish I had it on video. I hope he does it again. But anyway, yeah, he's cute. He's a funny cat, but he's young. See, that's why he's younger than some of my other cats. Like the cats that I brought from New Jersey, now they're like 10 years old. And it doesn't mean that they're not all cute, but they're not kittens anymore. I mean, although I do have two young cats that do cute stuff too. But Azumi, boys do cute stuff. The boy cats do cute stuff. But so anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to end the live stream. I hope everybody has a good night. Please remember, when I post it, you can leave more comments down below in the comments section. If anybody wants to give me a written testimony, you can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. If you have any good articles that you want to send to me, I'm happy to look at them. But don't give me links that are like too controversial because these criminals, they're just going to keep me in the program. I just keep clicking on these links, and some of them I don't even want to read this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. Have a good night, everybody.